Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into a topic that's bound to ruffle a few feathers. We'll be discussing some controversial opinions and sharing personal experiences that might just make you reconsider your intuition. So sit tight, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Today we'll discuss a story about a young man who recently got married. Only a few months into their marriage, he one day overhears his wife talking on the phone with her best friend. Her main message is that she's dissatisfied, and he wasn't her first pick, even though, as you discover, the guy really cares about her, loves her, pays all the bills, takes care of all the expenses, pays for her rent, pays for her car, and does everything else. She cautions her body not to end up like her. She still believes, though, that she deserves far better. Nice chick. Alright, the reason I'm doing this is for you guys to understand, for those of you who are aware that the majority of women settle. Now have a look at the many couples you can see outside. The odds are that the woman settle for that guy. One of the numerous factors contributing to the high number of unhappy marriages is the fact that he wasn't her first choice, not the top choice. Now, I'm not saying that a woman will be happy if she settles for her top guy or ends up with her top option, because we all know that's not the case. That won't take place. You know, a woman might be wed to a man who earns billions in a year, live in a mansion, have a staff attending her needs, fly a private aircraft, and have everything else, and she still wouldn't be satisfied. You are aware of that. Hence, if any of you guys ever consider getting married, keep in mind that the likelihood is that you'll end up with the woman you're dating right now. Her first choice might not have been you, which will make your marriage happy in most of the cases, even though the situation will worsen, which is only one of the many reasons you should consider twice before getting married. A lot of guys watching the video will benefit from hearing about other people's experiences and how that can benefit them. So please leave a comment down below before I move on, and let me know what you think about this so far and your experiences in this. Okay, if you want to date, hook up, and have casual relationships, go right ahead, because the ball is in your court. Okay, when things get tough, run their course, kick them out, and move on to somebody else. That way, when they know that you have a lot of options, they are usually always chasing you on their best behavior. But again, this guy's story is going to prove that. So the title of the article of his story is "Overheard my fiancée tell her friend on the phone that she settled for being with me and that marrying me was her last resort." So what this guy did is he first posted his story on Reddit, telling everybody, and then he comes back and tells how it went with his wife, when he basically broke it to her. He knows and wants to end up with her. He's breaking up with her. He starts out saying, "I overheard my wife talking to one of her best friends on the phone while I was passing the bedroom. My wife then said to her, 'Sweetie, remember, it's your choice. Don't settle for just anyone. That's the mistake I made. Who knows who else I could have had?' And she says, 'His name was my very last resort. And now look at where I made me end up.' The guy says, 'Hearing that honestly broke my heart. Does she even love me? Why am I being treated as a second choice? Am I being dramatic or overreacting? I haven't said anything about this. I honestly don't know what to do, but hearing her say that has really made me upset.' Well, imagine you obviously really love and care for someone, and overhear basically that she settled for you and says, 'Look where I ended up.' Meanwhile, this guy is good to her, takes care of all the bills and all that, and she's bitching and complaining. And we know again where that sense of entitlement comes from, thanks to the you-know-what movement, convincing all women that they are tense and deserve the best, when mathematically that's impossible, because there are only so many guys at the top. And also it links to social media and dating apps, making women feel wanted for all the 24/7 attention from the guys. The blue pill beta males types kissing their ass and giving them attention for free. That's where it all comes from. Okay, now here's the part when he confronts her about this. He says, "Update number 2. Just did one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Today after breakfast I told her we should sit down and talk. She was hesitant, but I said it was important. We went to the living room and she said to me, 'I already know what this is about. My post apparently made it to the front page, so of course she saw it after scrolling down a bit under the popular section.' Well, that was kind of stupid if he knows his wife obviously follows Reddit and he puts up a post that gets popular and she saw his thing. That's kind of dumb, but I guess ultimately it's gonna end up anyway, so who cares? But if you are trying to hide something, don't post something on social media or the internet that the person you are hiding it from is gonna look at it. But he's young, and he says, I told her what she said had deeply hurt me, but obviously she already knew that since she read my post. Through her tears, she said, I was just joking. It wasn't serious. She then went on to say stuff like, I love you, I love you. I told her, I can't be in a marriage where my significant other doesn't love me the way I love them. She tried to tell me that she loved me, and I meant something to her, but it was all just gibberish. She said she didn't want to lose me. I told her, I don't think this marriage was the right decision. And from there, I basically told her it was all over. I told her I knew how she really felt about me, and that she was basically playing with me, with my emotions. Yeah, it's good that this guy stood up for himself, and of course, as you can see, she's basically denying the whole thing. Like, oh no, it wasn't true, I was joking. Well, I really do love him, because she knew she was caught. She was busted. And this guy takes care of everything. He's her meal ticket. And I want to bet you she's probably banging dudes left and right behind his back. Poor guy. He says, for all those wondering, we have no kids and I pay fully for the apartment we live in. And I own almost everything we have other than her clothes. I even pay for her car. So after all this, she'll have little or nothing left. Before the marriage, we agreed to sign up prenup. And at that moment, I had never been so happy with that decision I made in my life. Good for this guy, but I gotta wonder, did he sign the prenup because, he had the sixth sense telling him, maybe you want to do this because this chick there's something there. Maybe he's getting a wise uncle or father to tell him to do it. Who knows, but good for him. And after that, it was a few seconds of awkward silence before she said to me, F you. She started screaming at me, telling me, you just can't end things like that. I told her I could do whatever I wanted, and that's when she became very hostile. It's funny how she goes from all the I love yous and crying and I was joking and I didn't mean to all of a sudden like that F you and screaming and yelling and carrying on. That's amazing. Obviously it was BS and she knew she was busted. Now her true colors are coming out. Here he goes on, he says, she screamed at me saying, you're the worst relationship I've ever been in. You think I can't find someone again? Do you think you'll ever find someone as good as me? She says. As good as her. She's awful. You effing idiot, his name. She grabbed her bag and phone and said, I'm leaving. Before slamming the door behind her, at that moment, I felt like I was on one of those dramatic sitcoms you'd find on TV. I sat down on the couch and cried. And I'm still crying as I type this up. Hey, he had his heart broken, but you know what? This is awesome. Even though his heart was broken, he stood up to her, called her on it, and basically told her it's over. And even though she tried BS with the waterworks and the I love yous, a lot of guys would hear that and probably be like, alright, maybe she didn't mean it. Right now this guy wasn't buying it, and that's awesome. And now she's out the door. The funny thing is, I bet this is probably the first time in their entire relationship that he stood up to her, weren't it? I don't like the whole part where she says, do you think you'll ever find someone as good as me? Get the hell out of here. He goes on to say it's both happy and sad tears, and it was only a matter of time before she cheated on me or left me. Oh, I weren't it. She'd be cheating on him and leave him for some other dude, but I'm willing to bet she's probably been cheating on him beforehand. But you know what? This guy is young. He says he's 26 years old. And again, why did he get married so young, with such a little life experience? But still, some young people do. They get stuck into it because they get a girl they think that's as good as it's gonna get. I guarantee you, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, hey, If it doesn't work out, I find some other dude, and I can be the bride again. You know, hopefully round 2 in terms of his second chance after she's totally done with. He doesn't do that. He doesn't fall for this again. This will be a very hard lesson for about female nature. I hope he takes it to the grave, goes on and finishes up saying, "She never loved me. It was obvious. Our relationship only went one way." I feel like a complete idiot for not seeing it earlier. I live in California and I'm going to start the process to annul our marriage tomorrow. I'm going to start putting all her belongings into trash bags because that's essentially where they belong. Thanks. I'm not throwing out her stuff, just using the trash bags as a way to give her back the things she owns. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your kind words and your great advice. All of you gave me the courage to stand up for myself, and I know my life will certainly improve as a result. And this guy obviously posted it on Reddit too, you know, to hear people's input and everything like that, so those are pretty interesting things. Again, guys, I did this article because, once again, it is making the point that, by and large, a woman said that, and you must understand that, okay? And so, I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching this, you know darn well that she was in love with you, and then, looking back in hindsight, she settled for you, and you saw. So, guys, as I said before, don't get married in the US. It is not worth it on so many levels. Save yourself years of misery, tons of hard-earned money that you made and saved, being pissed away because they love to spend it. You know, save yourself all that stuff because it's not going to go well for you. And like I said, women settle. They don't, most of them marry the guys at the top of their list. Even if they do, like I said, they are going to find things to piss and moan about and start drama about. They're never going to be happy, especially in this day and age. You know, save yourself the frustration and aggravation. So, alright guys, quick article, that was a good one, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends and subscribe.